Thanks for staying with us. The Information Regulator, in partnership with the City of Johannesburg, has been hosting public engagements. Of course, the event is based on promoting access to information and also teaching people about their rights when it comes to this. Now, this is under the banner of the International Day for Universal Access to Information, which is commemorated annually. Let's speak now to the Chairperson of the Information Regulator of South Africa, Adv Pansy Tlakula. Advocate, thank you so much for your time this evening. Let's start with the engagements. I'm certain they were quite interesting. How did they go?
The engagement, actually, the main one is tomorrow, which is the International Day for Universal Access to Information, which will be held at the Orlando Community Hall at 11 o'clock. But the event will start at 9 o'clock with an exhibition. But I think what I need to say is that the clip that you played before I came in is exactly what the right of access to information is about. But because it's a right that enables people to exercise other rights, such as the right to water, the right to electricity. In that clip, you can see that the residents have no information about what is happening. Some solar panels were erected, they are not working, but they don't know who to go to, what questions to ask. And that's exactly what we want to empower the communities to do, to say when things like this happen, they have to be able to go to the municipality and to the information officer at the municipality and to empower them on the kinds of information, the kind of questions that they must ask. And exactly that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow.
And we saw some of these smaller engagements, though, for example, in Soweto, like in Orlando. Were people raising some of the questions as well? I know the main event is tomorrow, but looking at, the build up to it, I saw, some talking to community members in Orlando. Are you getting a sense that people understand the importance of information?
Not to the point where we would have loved them to do so. That is why we have decided that our focus areas going forward as the Information Regulator, we're not going to talk about the right of access to information in the way that it was talked about in the past. Would like to go to the communities, to talk to the communities, to say that if you have been promised water, and water does not come, what do you do? Who do you go to? What questions do you ask? What if those questions, what if information is not given to you, the information that you request? What is your next step? Who can you complain to? Because if you ask for information from a municipality and you don't get that information, you can then come to the Information Regulator. We can then investigate the complaint to say we have a complaint from the residents of Soweto that they ask you this information last month, you have not responded. Then after investigating the complaint, we can actually compel the municipality to give the residents that kind of information, if it's the information that they have to be given. And failure to comply is a criminal offense. That's the difference.
And Pardon me, Adv Tlakula, what you talk about is very critical, and also looking at the fact that what kind of information they can have access to. But there's another layer to this conversation as well, which is understanding the information that they would then be requesting. For example, asking for those records, and the records could be sitting in Arch liver files, for example. How then do they begin to navigate, to understand what they are reading and what they are looking for?
Exactly, because you see, what we empower them is that if they want certain information, for instance, they must go to the municipal office and they must say, this is the kind of information that we request. And the municipal office, they even have the responsibility to request, to assist the requester to fill in the request form, because it's not everyone who is literate. So once they have done that, the municipality has to find that information. What we have discovered as the Information Regulator, when we assessed metros, for that matter, metros, not even district municipalities is that they are not PAIA compliant. They do not comply with the promotion of access to information, because each municipality, for instance, must have a manual that stipulates the kinds of services that the municipality offers, the kinds of information that they are holding, and so on. And when we looked at the municipalities, most of them, all of them, the metros, did not comply with PAIA. We even did that to the banks, because even the private bodies have to comply. The compliance with the banks was a little bit better, but still not up to where it should be. So you are correct, because the municipalities are not compliant with the legislation, and as a result, they are not able to respond to requests for access to information. You have hit the nail on the coffin. That's where the problem. Keeping of records and keeping them properly. So it's a process. When we went to the municipalities, to the metros, actually, we said to them, this is where you are not compliant. We are actually going to be sitting down with them, and we are hoping that once we impress upon them to comply, then they will be able to provide citizens with the information that they request in order for the citizens to be able to access the services.
And that's going to be important, especially also when you look at, how information could also help better planning. But, there's also another issue here, and I'm not sure tomorrow how you'll talk about this one, because I'm certain it will come up. The issue around, data costs. Some would say it'll take, too much data for me to be able to download the files and all of that. But others will say, in a country like ours, the reality is that some may not even have the money to go to the offices of the municipalities and be able to get access to this information. I'm certain these questions will come up tomorrow. How then do you begin to navigate this? Do you get the municipalities to go closer to the people and be able to give them this information, or how else does it play out?
Exactly. We have to start to talk about that. The digital divide, the cost of the data, people are not working. But the truth of the matter is that government hold information on behalf of the people. The information that they hold it for the public good. So government has to step up and see how they will be able to give this information to the people in an accessible manner. So that will be part of the discussions that we're going to be having. And when we give the metros feedback on the assessments that we did on compliance with PAIA, these are some of the issues that we will be discussing with them. How do you make information available in an accessible manner and in a manner that is less that is cost effective for the requesters for such information?
Advocate Tlakula, I wish we had more time. Thank you so much for coming through. Appreciate it. And it's heartwarming to even know that now the approach is changing to ensure that more and more people have access to information. Thank you so much, and all the best for tomorrow. That was Chairperson of the Information Regulator of South Africa, Mayor Advocate Pansy Tlakula, talking about a very important subject, access to information. It is worrying that, you hear that metros are not even PAIA compliant. You think about then how the record keeping is happening here, especially when it comes to issues around service delivery. So it'll be an interesting one to watch tomorrow.